game for Roy Halladay.
Let's talk about the better team.
The best.
Don't say best. That's right.
I'm looking. I saw that flag behind George, and
best.
Maybe the best team in the city. The Sixers with their first preseason
reunion might actually
on the Boston Celtics, 108-99. So before we got a lot to talk about here, guys. But first, again, I'll throw it to you first. What was your biggest takeaway? There's a lot of takeaways, a lot of guys to look at. Defensively, they held the Celtics to under 100. Offensively, there was good off-ball movement and ball movement. But what was your biggest takeaway of the game?
Like player-wise?
Anything.
Well, that Daryl Morey's a magician. Made a basketball team. Because a year ago, we sat in a preseason game. Well, the season would have started by now, but we thought about, oh, my God, we got bully ball coming in. We're going to get to the foul line 25 times. We have Al Horford and Joel Embiid. And then Daryl Morey made a roster make sense of guys that can space the floor. He brought in depth. And so the biggest takeaway is he's a magician. Player-wise, though, it's that Shake Milton is a legitimate player, and there's no reason that he should be inconsistent at any point this year because clearly he could play, and he needs to play, and he needs to start, which we'll get into.
We're going to have a good back and forth on that, so stay tuned if you're watching now. George, what was your main takeaway from last night's first preseason game?
I love the bully ball because we heard it all from Brett Brown. He wanted bully ball. I wanted bully ball, but we haven't seen it like this. Stock Rose is different. This team is different. And shutting down big stars. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combining for 5 for 24 from the field. Like that's huge. Really good. Yeah, clamps. I mean, very good defensively. Shake, obviously, that shot is legit. He's a legit NBA player. I'm on the Gint train. I think he needs to start. And Danny Green having 4 steals. I mean, Danny Green, we know what he is, but damn, he looked very good last night.
He looked like a Robert Covington.
Yeah, he looked
exactly what he looked like. I felt
like Rocco from 3 year ago. So
he wasn't like in front of people, but he was always in like the passing lane a lot. Like I don't know. Like I got Rocco vibes from.
I think we had.
That would have been Rocco's best basketball game ever.
I think we had like 6 steals in the first half, and Danny Green had 4 of them. So you love to see that, and yeah, just a great game
for anyone that said he lost a step on defense.
Yeah.
On a short off season too. That's the craziest point. I guess it was like just a major. Like I don't know what it was.
It's almost like role players just don't play well against next to LeBron. I don't know that.
I heard the coolest thing, like you see.
What was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that the biggest takeaway that anyone's gonna see is 1, we didn't fuck up the draft, and 2, we got Shake is a legitimate NBA player. I don't think he should start. I think if you put that man coming off the bench,
that's our next topic.
If you make that man coming off the bench, he will have a 6th man of the year trophy in his hand at the end of the year. But going forward, also the big thing I noticed is when I turned the basketball game on with the starters in the first quarter, it looked like fucking basketball. You know, like that. That's just the easiest way to say it. The ball was moving. They were running sets. Everyone seemed involved. Everyone seemed like they had a clue. I almost didn't see anyone just standing around like you used to in freelance offense with Brett Brown. It looked like a legitimate basketball team. They weren't even running a lot of sets for Embiid.
They didn't run one.
And he still had 18. Like everything about the team's type of play was amazing. Dwight looked good coming off the bench. All your acquisitions looked like a legitimate NBA team. Like everything just looked right. And then to top it off, you get a 4th quarter of Tyrese Maxey making sure we win the game. And he goes off for 8 points and has 2 of the craziest looking floaters I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. I think if you were a basketball fan, you completely enjoyed that game last night. But you did not enjoy Isaiah Joe because he did not look good. And the other takeaway, the last takeaway I will say is Matisse Thybulle looked lost on offense at points.
He hasn't played like at
all. And that's what I was gonna get to. He hasn't played because he was battling an injury. But I really need to see that change. I know that's not him. He's a 4-year college player, so obviously he knows how to play basketball. Like those 4-year college players usually end up being really good team players, know how to move the ball well. So I don't think this is going to be around for long. I think it's just it's like the one negative you can talk about because last night's game was so productive and good. But if that continues, he's going to find himself at the bottom of bench minutes, and I really don't want that because everyone else on the team seemed like they had a good. I'll even admit this: Furkan Korkmaz looked pretty good in his role last night.
What?
I did not hate it. I did not hate it.
Horrible.
But like
I thought he looked awful.
for where he was on the bench minutes, like I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. You know, he had a tough layup. He did make mistakes like he always does, but seeing him like as the 10th guy off the bench or
He
the
came in first.
No, he was one of the first
I
three.
missed that then.
He was the
Oh,
first.
wow.
Him, Shake, and Dwight all came in
I'm
at the
sorry.
same time.
Oh, that is right.
No,
You're
I
not
do
wrong.
agree with you saying that. But Dill, you can go ahead.
Well, I was looking for the airball video on Twitter, and I was going to share my screen and say that was the biggest takeaway.
He airballed that three. Oh,
No, I'm just messing around. Look, I agree with all of you guys. I think one of the biggest keys was watching them strap up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in the first half. You got to take it with a grain of salt because it's their first preseason game as well. They're shooting the rust out, so you got to look at it that way also. But because my thing is, and we're going to get into that too, what is their identity? Doc has said on numerous times he wants to be one of the best teams, maybe the best team on defense. He wants to be top 10 in defense and offense to be a championship team. And defensively last night, they looked amazing. You guys talked about the ball movement on offense. The spacing was good. I expect that to only get better, along with 3-point shooting. And they ran for a second. I think it was Joel that was the one that took the three. I didn't like that it was him that took it, but they ran a 3-man game with Ben in the post, someone in the corner. It might have been Tobias.
He didn't give him he didn't give Ben a perfect steal pass.
So I like that 3-man game there. Ben in transition had one to Shake, had one to Seth Curry, transition 3. That's what I was waiting for. I could have turned the game off after I saw that because that's all I wanted to see was a transition 3 from Ben to Steph. So all in all, I'm with you guys. Ginn said he rewatched the game today. I
rewatched it and then watched the first half again too.
Really?
2.5 times. Injected into my blood.
I also liked how Shake not only played free and ran the offense like Doc said he was going to this year, but he was in control of the offense. And when they came up to double Shake right when he crossed half court the one time, and he made the quick one read, got rid of the ball. That's what I want to
throw it to.
What?
Who'd he throw it to?
Was it Furkan? I forget.
He bricked it 3.
We have a comment here. Marquise Graham says Tyrese Maxey was the most shocking player. Can say whatever they want about it. It was a preseason game, but Maxey looked like a straight-up veteran floor general in his first game. Well,
I won't say all that.
Yeah, I mean,
think he looked very good, but I won't say he looked like a veteran.
You got to take it all with a grain of salt. Not only was it the preseason, when he came in, it was against like the third string.
He looked like a legitimate scorer. He looked like Lou Williams. That's exactly the first thing I thought of.
I liked his confidence and demeanor. You got to take it with a grain of salt of who he was going against. And before you start saying,
it was third string guys that are fighting to make the roster.
I agree. Tyrese Maxey was one of the highlights of the night. He looked awesome. So I think as the season goes on, his role is going to be very important on this team, in my opinion. So let's get into our first topic question I have here. We're kind of split here on the Faithful Fanatics. Shake obviously was probably the main takeaway last night. 19 points on 8 of 14 shooting. I believe he was 3 of 6 from deep, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Played free, ran the offense when Ben wasn't on the floor. Played well next to Ben as a combo guard. So let's throw to them first. Ginn and George, tell us why Shake Milton should be a starter.
All right, so and hear me out here. Just hear me all the way through.
Okay.
So, and Hembo brought it up specifically. I really want someone in the half court where Ben doesn't have to be on the ball in the half court all that often. And I understand Seth Curry can kind of be that guy, but I think Shake's much better to be that guy.
I agree.
And then you say, oh, you're getting rid of some spacing. Not really. I understand Steph Curry's a better shooter than Shake, but Shake still shoots 40% on catch and shoot.
95th percentile in the league.
So that's what I'm saying. So then you go to the bench, because basically if you take Shake off the bench, you bring out, in my opinion, I think Tyrese Maxey is more than capable of handling the ball in the second unit. And then that brings Seth Curry off the bench. And then you run with probably Matisse Thybulle, Dwight Howard, and you kind of see Furkan dwindle towards the end of the bench at that point. But the only thing with that is
over already.
you could see Matisse's minutes shrink if he can't strike the floor at all. I just think I love Tyrese Maxey off the pick and roll, and I love Shake off the pick and roll, and I don't see how both can play off the pick and roll, both coming off the bench.
Agreed.
And Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid. Well, Joel Embiid doesn't really. Dwight Howard, every single time he screens someone, it literally looks like the person that gets hit is like just gets run into a brick wall.
And he's right under the basket immediately.
Which is why Shake had like a picture perfect alley-oop to him last night.
That was like I think that was the highlight of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just my opinion of the situation. We all talked about how we wanted a point guard and we said a backup point guard. But we want someone to play in the half court. And I think we have that with Shake. I think Shake's really smooth. He's very confident in his handle, but he doesn't have to be the primary decision maker, especially in the fast break. If Ben's going to average 7 to 8 rebounds a game, he'll probably get 3 to 4 assists alone on those rebounds. So he doesn't have to be your primary decision maker, but just in the pick and roll, I love Shake and I love Maxey both playing out of it. I had Maxey number 1 in my out of the pick and roll in the entire NBA draft. So I just think that's why I would start Shake over Seth. And it's not that I don't want Seth to start. If Seth starts and Shake comes off the bench, that's okay. But that's my opinion.
George.
Yeah. I'm going to start off by saying I think either way it's a win-win. I think this is the type of situation where it's like we're not going to get mad if either or happens. Like no matter what happens, we have 2 capable guys that are either going to come off the bench, one's going to start. Like that's what's going to happen. I like everything that Ginn said. He hit on the head. I also like that Shake can dribble the ball with authority. I like the way he handles the basketball. And we've seen Seth come off the bench in Dallas, and he's been super effective when he's done so. And I think either way, like what you said, Snap, like if Shake is a 6th man, he's going to walk away with that 6th man of the year award. I think it could happen with Curry too. Like either way, we're going to have a 6th man that is going to be very, very good for us, that can shoot the basketball, that can do whatever we need him to do. I just think right now Shake's proven that, God damn, he is the guy, and damn, he can really shoot the basketball. Like,
oh my God,
we all expected Shake to like take a step this year, but
he looked like he took a step.
Yeah, he looked like he take a step, and he was a lot more physical too. Like that muscle that he's gained, like you can tell. Like,
when he did the drive with Dwight Howard for that alley-oop, it looked like in years prior that defender would have kept him from getting to the right side and pushing it all the way to the hole to set up and that when he did that, when he finally got free of his defender, the help defense comes over, and when you have a guy like Dwight, he's such a physical presence under the basket. You can just lob it up. We've seen it in those little clips they did in practice. Like there was a play just like that, and he did it like in the first 5 minutes they played together.
So one more takeaway before I get to where I would put Shake is what I meant to say earlier is how freaking nice was it to have a second team come off the bench and not be like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
Dude, like Joel comes off the floor and it's not anymore of, oh, damn.
We got to get him back in.
Can we survive until Joe? How long can we survive until Joe has to come back in? There's none of that anymore. They're scoring off the bench.
Dwight looked unbelievable. If Shake and Maxey didn't have such a night, Dwight probably would have been the first star of the game for me.
Dude, he had that up and under layup on that one drive. Dude, I can't believe that didn't make highlights. He went up with the left and brought it down like a guard and went right. I was like, who is this man? I was like, is this Dwight Howard or is this like Kyrie Irving, dude? Like, he really did the up and under on a defender.
And one more thing, Gint, I'm totally with you. I think Maxey can easily give us valuable minutes off the bench, and I think it's going to make Furkan go obviously towards the end of the bench. But obviously yesterday he looked good. It was against kind of nobodies, and it was a preseason game. You got to take it with a grain of salt, but everything he did is what we wanted to see. And I still can't believe that he dropped in our laps at 21. It just still doesn't make sense.
It's mind-boggling.
But
I believe that Shake should be coming off the bench. I completely agree with both you guys said. And like this whole energy like we got right now, this isn't even like an argument at this point. This is just like 2 opinions because both of them work. That's the craziest thing. Like everything that you two said, like Gant and George, like I would sit there and be like, yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And I am sitting here. That absolutely makes sense. But when you look at it from the other's perspective, the reason I like that is because that freedom that you got to see Shake have, I think he gets more of a chance to do that and be more effective because yes, he's a ball handler and he can run the offense, but I think his biggest strength is just scoring the shit out of is scoring with that ball. Like he just knows how to create offense. That step back when he put it through the legs and pulled back, he didn't even push off on that. Like he just made that space. Like a lot of guys cheat on a move like that when he took it to the right side of the paint and he brought it back for the step back. He hit that perfectly on his own. No cheating involved. Like 2 fadeaways off catch and shoots. He had what was it, 3 threes? The one he was in complete motion. He just had his shoulder squares while moving and he still drained it. I just like the ability to have him as the primary ball handler because I think that is when he's the most effective because when he has the ball, he's one of these guys when he has the ball in his hand, he creates more. And honestly, if you're looking to make a midseason trade for a guy like Harden, like that's what you like Gint said it before, like when we were texting yesterday, like show off Shake Milton. Cause like if you're gonna give up a guy like James Harden a scorer, like you need to show that you're gonna get another scorer back. And I think the best way to show that Shake is a scorer is having him come off the bench and being that first option as the 6th man. And I truly think he'll win 6th man of the year if he comes off the bench. I really do.
So it is a great thing to have, like where either or works. The thing with me is, I don't necessarily even care who does start. I care about who's finishing the games, and I think he'll be on the floor finishing the game.
Jake will be in the game finishing the game.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's not that big of a deal. However, I'm with Snap. I like him running the second team coming off the bench. I like his 2-man game with the White. I like the ball in his hands. And again, to your point about like Ben not having to always play with the ball, like be on the ball in the half court. My thing is, Shake is going to need his touches. If Shake's coming leading the second team, he's going to be getting he's going to be running the offense. He's going to be the cause of most of the offense. If you start him with Ben, Joel, Tobias, there's only so many touches and shots to go around in that starting 5. Shake dwindles down. You bring him off the bench, you maximize him playing freely, him running the offense, him getting more shots up, which also to me gets Shake into a rhythm. I think we saw that in the Clippers game when he dropped 39. Like
we saw it last night.
Shake is
got in the rhythm when no one else was on the floor. He got into his own rhythm immediately.
As long as he can command the offense and take care of the ball with pressure when pressure's on, I'm all for him. I'm all for him being the 6th man. Especially with the way Doc Rivers has handled the 6th man in his career, especially with the Clippers. So I don't know. There's really no right or wrong answer. Both work. He's going to be on the floor at the end of the game, so it doesn't really matter that he starts. Yeah. But I like him, late in the first quarter, starting the second quarter, commanding the offense with the second team.
So the way I look at it, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, it's like, so if we bring Shake off the bench, you're probably limiting Tyrese Maxey to at most 12 minutes a night, and but
that can change too.
I understand that, but you can't play. I mean, you can play them together, but you're not maximizing anything with both of them on the floor.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
If you start Shake, so basically, if you bench Shake, you're losing production out of Tyrese Maxey. If you start Shake, you're losing production out of Furkan Korkmaz. So I look at it as
that's fair.
Which one would I rather lose? Tyrese Maxey at what? How old is he? 20 years old.
But I think also
Furkan at 67 years old that couldn't even hit the rim last night.
Furkan's young, but
what's it called?
Production
in a sense if Shake's with the starting unit.
For sure. But I also think in the offense that we're running, you're going to see a lot of pick and roll, and you're going to see a lot of pick and roll in the second unit. And I understand.
Wasn't it beautiful? Wasn't it a beautiful freaking thing to watch?
You're also looking at, let's say we go to, let's just envision playoff time. How much is Ben going to be off the floor? Not a lot. How much is Joel going to be off the floor? Not a lot. So Shake has to find ways to get touches with these guys on the court, regardless of when it is. So. And he'll get touches. Doc has only spoke volumes about Shake Milton, and I don't see anything changing, especially how he played last night. So you have to find touches with those guys on the court. That's just my biggest take on it. But like we've said 1,000 times, this is a much better problem to have than the problem we just argued about with Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
for darn sure.
You can just feel the energy. Like with an argument like that, there's some emotion to it. Like with this, it's like, hey, if they do that, we're fine. If they do that, we're fine. It doesn't even matter. But the thing with Maxey, though, that I'm still questionable with is he was playing against guys that were clearly not.
And I tweeted.
I need to see him against NBA talent, and that might be why Shake off the bench, even if it's for the first half of the season, is a better go.
That's what I tweeted. He has to play against NBA rotation players.
Yeah, he needs to be coming off of that bench unit and see what he's gonna. Even if there's secondary guys, like he was playing guys that might not make the fucking roster. You know what I mean? Of course, he killed them. Like that's what he does. He's a scorer. He's an NBA level scorer playing against guys that might not make the team. I need to see him do NBA level scoring against NBA guys. And the other thing about Maxey, can we talk about it? He's a lot shorter than I felt like I know, but I just feels like he's shorter than I remember him in college. Like when he came on the court, like there was that one guy on the Celtics, I forget his name. He was 5'10", they said.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Carson Edwards.
He did not look much taller than him, and I was like,
he's only 2 inches, 3 inches.
Yeah, dude. That's why I like the comparison to Lou Will. He reminds me a lot of Lou Williams. Just the way with the floater game in space, like getting creative with the ball. He gave me a really big Lou Williams vibe.
I think the highlight of Tyrese Maxey last night was after the game when they asked Doc in his presser. And Doc, as soon as they got Tyrese Maxey out of his mouth, he's like, man, he's good, isn't he?
He's good. Yeah, I just think, like, obviously it was against guys that you need to see better competition with Maxey up against, but
Naismith, whatever the fuck his name was.
That he could do that against them with ease is what you want to see, right? I mean, that's like obviously take it with a grain of salt. You need to see more from him, but that's what you want to see him do against competition.
He's playing up. He's showing that he's not in question about being in the G League this year.
Yeah,
that's what he showed me last night.
I'll tell you what, there's not going to be a G League, but if Shake was coming off the bench, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a lot of G League time this year. But there's not going to be a G League, so it's not going to really matter.
Yeah, there's not. All right, let's move on for a second. George actually mentioned one of our topics earlier, just with one of his quotes. Bully ball. I hate that statement because of who it came from, and it just wasn't a thing last year. So,
more bullying this year?
What is this team's identity going to be this season? George, since you brought up bully ball, we'll start with you. What do you think their identity will be, either side of the floor?
I think Doc kind of has said it too. I mean, bully ball and just be a very good defensive team. Like he wants to be one of the best defensive teams in basketball, right? And I feel like with this roster we have right now, they have a chance to be that. Everything that we've seen, I know first preseason game, it's like you can't really take much out of it, but they really locked down Boston Stars. Like combining Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum 5 for 24 from the field is what you want to see.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be defense. We're going to be a defensive team. We're going to be a very good defensive team, but not only that, we're going to be able to score the ball. Like all around this roster, compared to last year, we're in a very better situation than we were, and it's pretty amazing to see. Like at halftime yesterday, Jason Tatum 3 for 10, Jaylen Brown 1 for 11, Marcus Smart 0 for 3, Danny Green had 4
average
steals.
though.
Yeah, Danny Green had 4 steals. Like that, this team's going to be very good as a defensive unit.
So before I throw it to you, I agree.
I'm sorry. Just to add on to this,
I'm with George, so I'm going to go before you two. If you guys have anything different for their identity, I just think I agree. I think they're going to be a top 5 defense in the league. That's what Doc wants. All the quotes out of practice, because they haven't been together for very long, is that their defense is way ahead of their offense, which is expected, and you saw that last night. But the thing with their defense is they're long, they're quick. They have a lot of good individual defenders. They're not just great as a team. Ben, Matisse, Maxey, Danny Green. There's a bunch of individual defenders on this defense. I think they're just going to smother teams defensively, and they'll find ways to win offensively. Last night, they beat the Celtics. They only put up 108 points. Not only, but they put up 108 points, and they did not shoot well from 3, especially in the first half. I think they're just going to smother teams defensively, get out, and then find whatever's working that night offensively is going to work. Whether they're hitting from deep, whether it's Seth Curry, Danny Green, Shake Milton, Tobias are going to be on, or maybe they're off like they were last night, and Joe and Tobias are cooking the half court. Ben running with Shake and Seth and Danny in the open floor. Joel was running in the open floor last night. I think they're going to have numerous amounts of ways to score the ball and create offense, and their defense is just going to be so smothering.
Yeah, identity for the team. Real basketball team. No, but defense is definitely the key here. And for the first time in a while, I think we're going to see the Sixers lean more toward having a half-court offense that they really can depend on. I think that's going to be the major difference between this team and last year's team. Like, you're going to see this team not get stuck on half-court offense a lot more because I feel like we have the amount of guys to make that happen. I feel like we have the coach that knows the coaching style to make that happen. And finally, with the defense, I think last night was the first time at halftime I've ever seen the Sixers have less turnovers than their opponent. Like, 15-17, I believe, was the turnover ratio at halftime. I've never seen anything like that in my last 5 years of being a Sixers fan. They had less turnovers than their opponent at halftime. It was incredible. The defense is just going to define this team, and I love it. You guys pretty much said it all. Don't really even need to add more to that.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I worry about, which is a minor worry, is you just see a lot of the wings in the Eastern Conference with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, even though they struggled last night. Karis LeVert, Kevin Durant, list goes Giannis, Chris Middleton. It's like, is Danny Green going to be that guy that can guard that second wing player? That's the only thing you worry about, which is why I wish Matisse Thybulle somehow came out and shot 40% from three this season so he could just play more and guard those guys in crunch.
It could happen still. We don't know.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But
no, probably not.
But yeah, that's out of everything was so positive last night. So I don't even want to end on that kind of negative note. But
it is a good point, though, because I haven't even really considered that. Because now that I'm sitting here, there's probably the Eastern Conference is loaded with wing players at an all-star caliber.
I wrote it out on every team, basically.
But, I mean, you can say Ben's probably going to cover the bigger ones.
Every team's best player.
Ben's going to be on KD. Ben's going to be on Jason Tatum. Ben's going to be on Giannis. Ben's going to be on Jimmy Butler. They're going to stick him on those types of guys. But like you said, it comes down to that second player. If that second star player on that team is a wing player, like a Bradley Beal, or like a Karis LeVert, can Danny Green settle in and lock up? Which he kind of can last night, which I like that.
Jake Milton looked way better defensively last night, too, than I thought he would.
He's got the weight now. He's not going to get bullied around anymore.
Yeah, that's another thing. Every single part of our team looked more bulkier. Furkan Korkmaz looked bigger. Matisse looked bigger. Shake Milton obviously looked bigger. It was, like I said, there was nothing negative about last night.
That's speaking of weight, the only other concern I have for Tyrese Maxey is that he is just so small compared to everyone else on the court.
We also had Taco Fall on the court next to him last night.
That didn't help. But even when you were looking at him at people his size, he does look like he has a lighter frame on him. Obviously, that's going to come with time. But again, biggest thing I want to see from Tyrese moving forward, I need to see him play NBA players, not Carson Edwards and what was that kid's name? Naismith or whatever the fuck his name was.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well,
Dill.
Yeah. I was just going to get to that plug-in. Show it off.
Listen,
merch.
T Republic, they got a bunch of different colors. We're going to hopefully come out with new design too with it. So if you're interested, hop on, cop the merch, represent.
Cop the merch.
Comfy chip. It is so comfy. I promise. The shit's so comfy. It fits nicely. Come on, cop it.
Yep. Go follow us on Twitter at FaithfulFans2. It's FaithfulFans2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for Paul Hembakidis for coming on. It was a lot of fun. Also, new show I will be starting hopefully next week. It's called The Daily Dose. Should I tease the intro again?
Yeah, go for it.
You got it? I haven't seen it.
It's not a finished product, but this is what Chris Deibler came up with as part of it. So here we go.
Enjoy. I love the music. The music is the best.
That's the
When I
background-
seen them in the huddle, like bobbing, and it was like on beat, I was like,
That's
fucking
the
started
AI
going with
ear.
him. I thought he was in the
ear.
huddle.
The AI ear.
You're gonna have to take Wentz out of there soon, though.
Well, that's what I said. When Bryce Harper gets traded and Carson Wentz is gone, they're not going to have that.
Yeah. No Bryce Harper trade rumors in this bitch. We're not doing
Speaking of merch, I'm about to go cop every
Yeah.
Carson Wentz piece of merchandise I can get.
50% off. Oxford Valley Mall, Dick's Sporting.
But yeah, follow us on Twitter at FaithfulFans2. Next week, we're going to be moving to 5 o'clock probably every Wednesday now. So Wednesday at 5 on the Painted Lines YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Please subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel. There's a tons of content, tons of different podcasts. We live stream the Eagles games. We live stream the Sixers games. So come check those out on game nights. Also, next Wednesday when we go live here at 5 is opening night for the Philadelphia 76ers against the Washington Wizards. So,
Oh my God, it is.
yeah,
Need Clown Russ.
Woo! Let's
we will
go.
be breaking down that
You got it.
opening
I want to
night
be on
game.
that live stream. I need to be a part of the crew that night watching. Either that or I'm just gonna sit in complete silence by myself and watch it. That's kind of how I go usually.
I just scream at my TV the whole time when I'm by myself, but it's all right. It's a sickness. For me, for Gint, for George, for Snap, have a nice night.
The Phillies have come from behind to win it 7-5. And a shot by Younger is safe. Rebound across the air. Score! Rose got it. Spins. Throws. He got him. A perfect game for Roy Halladay.